This podcast is brought to you by LMU Munich.
So, welcome everybody to the last session in the Delta Room on this PyCon.de. Our first speaker will tell us to debug like a pro. Please give a warm welcome to him.
Thank you. Hi, thanks for the conference organizers to invite me here to give a talk. So, who knows what that means? Hands up. If you're unclear, you shouldn't put your hands up. If you really know what that means, one. You told me yesterday. So, yeah, exactly. I told you yesterday. So everybody who doesn't know what that means, they'll hopefully learn something. Patrick, you don't know that? Where's Patrick? He says he knows everything. Still, okay. I only have 22 minutes, I was told, so I'm gonna skip over the basics really quick. So if you don't know how to PDB like a normal, regular, non-pro, you should definitely learn that. Some basics. You list. So maybe first, the only thing you should know is how to invoke a PDB. Don't bother with any other way to start it except for post-mortem, which I'm going to cover later. This is how you start it when you're in some code. These are the commands you have to know by heart. This is list, the source code, and for next, execute the next line. Step into some method that is being called. Return from the current method you're in, and continue to go wherever you like. Additional basics is W, that shows you the whole stack trace. Up to move up in the stack trace, down to move down once you moved up. B, very useful to set a breakpoint. So if you're in a loop, for example, in line 22, and there's a for loop that ends in line 40, you set a breakpoint in line 40 and hit continue, and then you don't have to do a lot of next. And it just skips over it doesn't skip, it just runs the whole for loop. A prints the arguments. So these are the basics. Also very nice is T-break for temporary breakpoint. So add a breakpoint in some line, continue, and it stops in that at that line, and it will never stop again in that line unless you add another breakpoint. So these are the basics. You should either know them or learn them. So you shouldn't be content with the basics. You should be more productive by improving your PDB and your PDB skills. And there's several ways to pimp your PDB. One is PDB++, IPDB, BPDB, BooPDB, and BPDB in Python 3.2+. So this is the easiest one because if you want to enhance your PDB experience, you just move to Python 3, which is not always possible because it has two very nice features. It has LL for long list, which shows the source code for the whole method that you're currently in. I'll show you how that looks like in a second. And source to see the source code. So here I have a small pyramid application. It opens a hello world, and when I do LL, it shows me the whole method. If I do L in PDB, it always continues, and I have to remember the line number. If I do LL, I get the whole thing again. That's really useful. So that is nice if you're doing Python 3 stuff. Yeah, and you have to kill it at some point. Good. So that's the easiest way. Additional packages that change PDB or replace PDB. A very widespread one is IPDB. It's built on top of IPython. It has really nice features, has, I think, really bad dependencies, SQLite, for example. And you have to import IPDB set trace instead of PDB, which is kind of weird, but you can have a shortcut for that. So if you're into IPDB, that's actually quite okay. BUPDB has really nice features and a pretty weird UI. It's a it's a terminal application, and again you need to do BUPDB, and it looks like this. But it's you don't use it with a mouse, but with your key commands. It's a nice package. So you can here you have your stack trace on the right, you have the locals on the top right, and here's your code, and here's actually a terminal. I used it for a while, and I kind of liked it, but yeah, I moved on to pdb++. It's actually called pdb-pp because PyPy doesn't do plus. It has really nice features, including tab completion, coloring, and so on. Has no really bad dependencies, and it's a drop-in replacement, but not for the whole thing. It just, yeah, patches some stuff in PDB, which I think is a good way to do it. Bad thing is it needs a little line of configuration. I'm going to show you that later. I'm going to demo pdb++, and if you're not sold to that, then yeah, that's bad. So here's some code. It has a PDB, so you don't do pdb++, just PDB, because it's a drop-in replacement. I'm gonna just start that and load the page that uses this code. It picks up a couple of talks that should be happening today from a package. And I end up in a pdb++. This is how you see it. And it has LL, which is my totally favorite command because I always like to read the source. Also has L, but L is totally pointless. It has all the other features that PDB has as well, but it has some more. It has, so this is the object here I'm inspecting. Let me look at this is I assign something to an object, maybe make that a little bigger. And if I look at the object, I can inspect it with a question mark, and I can try to look at the source, but oh my god, it's an instance, so it doesn't have a source. I'll just look at the class of it, and then I can see the whole code. And it's syntax highlighted, and that's kind of nice. So this is the whole class that I'm actually looking at the moment. So what else is nice? So this was the super quick demo of pdb++. You'll need a small bug until Patrick, I don't know if you're there, he said he was going to come and tweet bad things about my talk. So you need a small fix to fix your command line after you exit the debugger. But other than that, it's really nice. Has syntax highlighting, long list, has track to track expressions, and when they change, they pop up. You can inspect objects and object classes, then the code or methods with the code. It has a sticky mode, which I never use, but some people really love it. You should totally play around with that. And imagine someone you really trust and think of them saying this to you. And remember. All right. Next on, introspection. So once you're in a PDB, you can do various things with objects or the code that you're actually running in. So you can, let's go to the example before. You can say inspect it with dir. I don't know if you ever use Django or Plone. That's not really helpful because it shows you everything, including the inherited and auto-generated methods and attributes. Has anyone ever heard of the built-in help system of Python? Yes, sure. Have you used it in PDB? Anyone? Hands up? 2, 3, 4. Wow, it's a good crowd. Awesome. So if I do help, it, yeah. Help, if I'm in a PDB and, why doesn't it work? Whatever. So PDB has a help built in as well. So if I'd be in the pyramid application, help would show me the different commands that PDB has. So I wouldn't be able to invoke help, so I'd have to do help. This is how you should do that. I have an alias, so I can say help object, and that actually shows me the object and the complete method resolution order in the right order. And this is not a PDB feature, this is a built-in Python feature. So this is some container object in a container. So the first base class is the container class. Here's the mixins, the whole method resolution order. And now it gets really nice because here I have data and other attributes defined here. And here I have data descriptors defined. And so I walk down the whole inheritance chain and see where each thing is actually defined. And when I find whatever I'm looking at, let's see if I find something interesting. For example, this. I'll just, then I say object that, it's a method. And now I can inspect it, can read the code, and I can call it and see oh, sorry. This is a, why can't I call it? Oh, I have to pass it something, whatever. Doesn't really matter now. So this is a really nice feature. Use help, and you need to use the class. If you can also use the class or the instance. Very nice. Also the locals built in. Which is also basic. Everybody knows locals. Local variables. Great. You should do that. If you have an object and you don't want to use the whole help thing because it's just way too much, there's something that is very rarely used as well. So if I have a dict for my object, it shows me some information about the attributes, some attributes, and when I have my class, come on, let's remove that, I also have a dict object, and that is a dict proxy, has quite some more information, including all the methods that are only available on the real class and not its children. So if I do pp on here, that doesn't work, so I have to wrap it in a dict again, and then I can pretty print that, and it shows me quite a lot of nice additional information for introspection. So introspection is actually what you want to use when you when you want to find out what objects or methods are actually doing. So most of the IPDB or PDB++, these double question marks and stuff, they internally use a module called inspect. It's in the standards library, and it has quite a lot of nice features. You can use it on your own if you don't have, if you're like you're on a server and you don't have you shouldn't have a PDB on a server or whatever, but if you do and you don't have PDB++ or IPDB, you can use inspect directly to say print inspect get source object class, for example. It displays the whole source for the object that you're looking at, for the class of the object you're looking at, and also can display the method resolution order and so on. Some advanced tips, I guess you're here for them. So conditional breakpoints, that's a total no-brainer, but a lot of people, I see them, and including me, doing next, 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 until I actually get to the point where I am, especially if I have multiple for loops. So just do a if foo equals bar, and bar would be, I don't know, the name or the ID of an object, and add your PDB there, so that's easy. Now the really nice one. Who knows debug? Yeah, you're my guys. So debug is a built-in feature of PDB, and it is, I love it the most, and it's not documented. So if you look at the PDB documentation, I don't know why. So here and here in Python 3 and 2, it's not documented. It's only, you can only find it when you're actually in a PDB and say help. Then it says debug. So let me show you what it actually does, because it's awesome. So I'm in my PDB++ again. Let me see. Object get local roles. This is a method. I can inspect it. And it's not part of my code. So when I'm looking at my code here, this is not appearing here. It's not appearing above or below or anywhere. So I couldn't do step. I couldn't step inside. But I can execute it, and it just shows me something. But I can say debug, and then execute it. And then I'm entering a recursive debugger, and if you're looking closely, you have two brackets now here. And this is the answer to the question before, because you can do it multiple times. And David Glick, who's a great developer from Seattle, he was pretty deep in some stuff. But since it's not documented, you're kind of lost, because now you're nowhere. If you do L, there's no code, nothing happens. You have to, oh my God, I broke everything. Hang on, why did I break everything? That's right, that's correct. I don't know what I just did. somehow broke it. Sometimes that's the problem with the fancy compiler. It somehow breaks, sometimes breaks your read line when you exit the debugger.
If you insert the recursive debugger, does the read line never work for me either?
It does. It does sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. So now it'll work. So object get local roles debug. And what you have to do now is step inside, because now you're in some purgatorium. You're not in hell and you're not in heaven yet, but you have to. Yeah, I can't press enter even. That was working like 5 minutes ago before I. Maybe that's true. Oh, it has to be true. Maybe it has to be true. That's like the. Patrick, where are you when I need you? Yeah, he came up with that small fix. Hang on. Super. Okay. Yes. This is my layout, it's empty. Sorry, just believe me, it works. It worked yesterday, it usually works when I'm working, but I nuked my Python day before yesterday. I'm sorry about that. So, this is I have a screenshot, so here it works. I press S and enter, and I actually, now I'm inside this method. I can set layout in this case, and then I'm here, I can continue, I can step, I can inspect, and I can debug again. So the point is you can run arbitrary code, which the other option you would have is stop your execution, go into the code, add whichever line you want to put after your PDB, and start it up again, wait for the PDB to hit, and then step inside it, which is just more work.
It's also very useful if you've already skipped one.
Exactly. Yeah, if it's a line before you, you can do that. Oh, that was the demo, whatever. So the next one, thank you. Post-mortem debugging is basically there's a automatic method to run that in PDB. You can look it up in the documentation. It's basically a glorified wrapper for try, run, whatever you're doing except PDB. It's really nice. If you're doing any clone, you should use products PDB debug mode, which is a pretty advanced wrapper around that, and allows you to have PDBs whenever there's an error. If you have a logging of the level warning, then you'd end up in a PDB, which is bad when you're trying to index a million documents with something that is not there, so you might want to switch it up then, off then. What I really love is another nice tip. So this is a unit. Who uses post-mortem testing? Hands up. Some. Great. So unit test has a -D argument. When you run your tests with that, you end up in a PDB whenever a test either errors or fails. Same works with PyTest and nose tests. It does --PDB. In pure unit test without plonasop, you need to wrap it yourself, or you just build your own test runner that allows you to do that. So that allows you to do test-driven, debug-driven development. I'm kind of running out of time, so I'm not going to do another demo for that. But it's really nice because you just end up in a PDB when your test will fail, because when you're doing test-driven development, your features are not implemented, so you end up in a PDB. Then you can finish your test or finish the code and copy and paste it there. So I think it's a very productive workflow. Here's an example for that. That's a test that's doing whatever from the mastering clone training. And here I have an assert true, and it's not true, it's false. So here's a screenshot for that. You can very nicely customize your PDB by adding a PDB-RC in your home directory, and I have one for alias help print help, so I can do the old Python 2 thing, help space whatever object, help space whatever method. That's what I used in the demo before. Another thing, if you don't use Sentry, hands up if you don't use Sentry. Oh, hands up if you don't know what Sentry is. Oh my God. This is totally not debugging, but if you have production data and there's a traceback, there's an error, you have no idea what the local arguments were at that time when the error occurred. And you don't know in which instance, if you're running 10 or 12 machines at the same time, it might have occurred because the customer is calling you on the phone, say everything's broken, thank you. Try Sentry, it's a Django built on top of Django. It's completely open source. They have a service as well that runs on it. It is awesome. It collects all your tracebacks, including all your local variables that were passed to the method. So you see, you have a website and you see whatever the local arguments were in the whole stack for the whole stack trace, and you can find out what is going wrong. So there's maybe a user logging in with Müller, but you didn't account for German umlauts in there. So that's awesome. Next week we're going to have a sprint in Munich doing a Ansible/DevOps role for Sentry, and if you want, you can talk to me or my colleague Steffen about that. In summary, what you want to take away is you should learn the basics. They should come in handy. You should fix your demo before doing a presentation. You should try pdb++. You should learn about introspection, but I think the basics are enough, like class, dict proxy, help. I usually don't use the inspect module. That's what I'm trying to tell. Try debug callable call when you fixed your presentation, and use postmortem debugging also in testing, and always use pretty print because non-pretty printed documents are not readable for humans. Any questions?
30 seconds ahead of time. Congratulations. So we have plenty time for questions.
Perfect. Give me some tips, stuff that I don't know.
There are plugins for most editors that will follow your source code when you're stepping through, like show the current line and stuff.
That is true. Also for Sublime?
Yes.
Awesome. Didn't know that. So, sorry, yeah, there are plugins for almost all editors that follow, show you the source code in code while you're in a PDB. So they sync the line that is shown or the file that is shown in the editor with whatever you're doing in PDB. There's also, like, if you use PyCharm, there's a built-in debugger which is awesome. I never use it because I think my programs are really slow then, but I hear it's great. Maybe I need a new laptop.
With PyCharm, we just learned that you have a console that is in the context of the code you're running. We will start with the console,
Yeah.
and ending up with a Python, with pure Python, and think, oh wait, no, that's not it. There's a small icon somewhere in the debugger. No, in the console again, there's a small icon on the side. We didn't know that. We
Thank you.
learned it today.
Great, thank you.
Do you use any remote debuggers for debugging remotely?
I never debug remotely personally. I don't think I consider it black magic, but I know people who do it, and you can do it with PyCharm as well, as far as I've heard. But you have to talk to someone else. You can't? I heard you can.
Only the Pro version, not the
Oh.
community edition.
Yeah, it's not that expensive, is it? I paid for my Sublime, by the way, not like whoever gave the lightning talk yesterday. So, any more tips? Yes.
First a question.
Yes.
With this debug, you can also run a line like A equals B or something on that?
Well, A equals B is,
Doesn't make sense.
yeah, it doesn't make sense. You can do whatever one-liner you want to run. If there is a method that is called within that one-liner.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a step into whatever you're calling. It wouldn't make any sense to step into a list comprehension because that's C code, basically. Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much. Oh, yeah, sorry. Again, is there a way to? Reverse the stack trace. I don't get the question, sorry, I'm too dumb.
Is there a way, I think the question was, is there a way to go up the stack when debugging?
Sure. That is, that's the W shows you the where, the whole stack trace, and if you do U, you do go up or up and down. And in BUPDB, weird name to spell, you can do that with your line. So W, that's your whole stack trace, or my whole stack trace in this case. And I can go up. And if you just saw I didn't type U, if you just press enter, you're repeating the command you used before, which is also nice. And down again. Anything else?
Yeah.
Yes?
Is there a way to modify the execution of the program while debugging and maybe suppress an exception that is being raised?
Well, I never do that. I tried messing around with that, but in some cases you can ruin your production data when you do that. And you don't want to do that because in some code just runs commits, and if you say object equals none, for example, and then I do continue, I'm not sure what actually could happen there. So it's not a sandbox, you're in your real code, that's the real object, it's a real database, so you can break everything here. Yes?
Another question, do you use PDB using development and new features? Just like, define the function, put PDB and then call it, and do you use it during development?
Yes.
For development? Okay.
Yes, I spend about half my day in PDB. That's how it feels like, at least. And it's not bad. Doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. That's what I mean by debug-driven development. You're in a PDB and you just write your code, and once you're done, you copy and paste it in your production code. Okay, thank you very much. Have a great
Yes,
rest
Philip,
of the
thank you very
conference.
much for your talk. Let's give the guy a big hand.